Once upon a time, I spent $800 on a Spanish curriculum I never used. That's all because I thought more equaled a better education. Does that sound familiar to you? If you've ever stood in a curriculum aisle thinking, gosh, where do I even start? Or you felt paralyzed by all the choices you had to make, don't worry, today this video is going to change things for you. I'm Amanda, and I'm about to take you through Exodus Books in Oregon City, where I'm going to walk you through how to use my Core 4 framework in order to choose the curriculum that's right for you and get out of overwhelm. Also, I have my free routine builder link below, and so if you need to build your homeschool routine inside this Core 4 I'm about to explain to you, go ahead and grab that now. And whether you're local or online watching this video, I have a discount code for you to use at Exodus Books. Let's go inside, guys. Before we dive into these shelves, I'm going to explain my Core 4 framework that's going to help you sort through all this curriculum overwhelm with ease. These Core 4 are going to guide all of our decisions today. Simply put, the Core 4 is focusing on math, language arts, science, and social studies. Now let me explain these a little bit more in depth, because if you're not familiar with these teachery words, they can be kind of confusing. This is language arts, and it is reading, writing, spelling, and everything your child needs to express themselves with confidence. This is math. It includes number sense, patterns, and problem solving, and it helps our kiddos build a logic-based foundation for a higher level thinking as they get older. And we have science. This is what's going to help our kids build the skills of observation, experimentation, and just studying how the natural world works. And then we have social studies, which is studying people, purpose, and places. And we do this through looking at history, geography, and even current events. We're going to go through Exodus Books using my Core 4 as a shopping filter. This is how you're going to identify what you need, what you don't need, and whether all those homeschool curriculums that everybody's raving about are worth your time, effort, and hard-earned money. Let's go shopping smart. Language arts really covers quite a bit. So this is why I suggest to homeschool moms, especially those of you who are new, really choose a full curriculum here, especially in those early years where we can accidentally leave something out where we just didn't know that we didn't know. And having a full curriculum will help you do that. So we're going to explore two very popular language arts curriculums here in Exodus, and then we're going to do one at my house. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to start with Bob Jones University. All right, so I've actually never looked at Bob Jones myself. And so we're going to take a peek inside. This is third grade. Oh, okay. So I already like how we can do the work in the book. That always makes me happy. There are nice colorful illustrations, which is great. This feels to me, as I'm looking at it, it feels pretty workbooky, which is fine if that is the feeling you're going for. Has a cumulative review, which is awesome. Okay, this is what I would want to look at more with my kiddos, is building towards essays and building instructions. So I love that I'm seeing this. So what I'm seeing with this is there's not a lot of teaching going on in this book. This book is just the workbook. So this is the teacher's edition for grade 2. And it's going to show you each page and then how to check for understanding, help you with the actual answers here. So you've got to pair this book next to the workbook with your kiddo. But it gives you the answers pretty straightforward here. Help you kind of like know what to say, but not verbatim. All right, so that is with the teacher. That's what the teacher's edition looks like for second grade in the BJU workbook. Let's go to 7th grade. Again, we're still on BJU. Let's take a little peek, 7th grade. So we still have, it's kind of workbooky, but there's a lot more words, a lot more independent work in here. Now, this still does come with a teacher guide, but the teacher guide isn't open, so we're not going to look at that right now. Writing workshop, which is super important once we read 7th grade. Lots and lots of words and lots of reading. So if you've got a 7th grader who's not a strong reader, oh, that's so fun. I did an essay with my 10-year-old this year about this very monument right here. And we used personification and this very monument in the essay. He came alive and he thought he was a Wright brother. And so it was a really fun essay for him to write. He really enjoyed it. We're looking at the contents of this 7th grade workbook. It's talking about sentences, verbs, narrative writing, and formative writing, which I think especially once we've reached this grade, we should have already had practice in different kinds of writing. So it's good that it's got different kinds of writing. Writing argumentative, pronoun usage. Yeah, this is good. Developing your voice. I love that that's a focus. All right. That's 7th grade writing and grammar workbook from BJU. So behind me, you see the master books for language arts curriculum. And we're seeing it going through all the way through 8th grade. I think she said they're writing 10th grade up through 10th grade now. So let's take a peek. Let's take a peek in one of the lower level grades, and then we'll also look at maybe the 6th grade level just to see how they're organizing their information for the different ages and stages. Language lessons for a living education. So here's the master books, 2nd grade. Looks pretty standard. Got some pretty pictures inside, cute little illustrations, lots of writing going on. They've got these labeled by days. So we've got day 87, day 88, 88, 89. That's actually really helpful to have that up above. But then if you accidentally miss the day, what day am I on? But you can keep going. Day 114, tell a story. There's a lot. Okay, so what I'm going to say, for a 2nd grader, this is a lot of writing, especially if you have a kiddo who does not love writing. It's beautiful, it's very cute, but again, it is a lot of writing. If your child doesn't mind that, this is great, already having them kind of look at punctuation. But again, 2nd grade, to me, that's a little early to introduce these concepts. So I would definitely say this is an advanced curriculum, and it might fit a lot of little girls really well, but our mover and shaker little boys, this might not be a good fit. Let's go ahead and look at grade 6, level 6 from Masterbooks Language Arts. So words got smaller. Still these beautiful Charlotte Mason type photos. I really do like that. And they have, day 80 again, lesson 17. They've got Bible in there. Definitely, what grade is this? Grade 6, writing a lot of sentences, which is perfect. Grammar practice around Bible themes. Love that there's a picture study for observation skills. That's great. Again, lots of writing, but by 6th grade, usually our kiddos are comfortable with writing or hopefully getting comfortable with typing. But if you were going to type your answers, this workbook would be challenging to use. They also have assessment chart in here, which is really nice if you have to keep track for state law of what you guys are doing. So that's actually really, really helpful. And if you turn in work, this can be very, very helpful. You've got an independent reading list. Not sure what that is. Create your own dictionary. So overall, I really like this for the higher grades. However, it is, again, a lot of handwriting, which can be okay. And I would honestly like to see more gravitation towards their own writing rather than workbook. But I can see how this would have its place for some families. So now we're going to take a couple minutes and we're going to look at the good and beautiful language arts. Now, I would tell you, we've used Good and Beautiful for a really long time, and I really enjoy it we're enjoying it for kindergarten, in first grade, second grade. This that I'm about to show you is fourth grade, but I don't really like to use it beyond fourth grade. After fourth grade, I like to do really hands-on projects for language arts with my children and do a lot of reading. So we don't even really use a formal curriculum. If there's some guide points we use. But again, remember, if you're newer and you don't know and you're not confident yet into hodgepodging your homeschool curriculum, go with a robust curriculum for language arts and math. And you can build these things in as you learn how you like to homeschool and what works for your children. So this comes the Good and the Beautiful Language Arts. This is level 4, which is fourth grade. It comes with 2 books and then a few readers. I don't have the readers with me right this second, but it comes with 2 books. Now, at the beginning of every unit, they're going to give you a spelling list that you go through, which I think is great. Spelling lists are wonderful. And the thing I really love about Good and Beautiful Language Arts is they really incorporate social studies. And so if you do not want to do social studies, it's baked right in to your language arts program. So my kids do this, but they also often will do social studies additionally. So this one's a learning about the United States of America, and we've got a map, and they've got some questions here. So there's some handwriting to this. There's some fill in the blank. There's some more handwriting, some thinking, like reading and thinking about what you read, rewriting it, and summarizing. That's a lot of what goes on in the fourth grade. But as you get a little higher, there's a lot of that repeated, and I don't love that. I feel like there should be more creativity beyond fourth and fifth grade in the writing space, and that does require more time on our part as moms, but I think it's well worth it. So the second book that comes with the fourth grade level of Good and Beautiful is all about helping our kids write more. Just looking, this is clearly a used copy. And another great thing about the Good and the Beautiful is they have art study, so that's awesome too. But there are a lot of, in 1 or 2 sentences, describe what it might sound like to be on the sailboat in the painting. So they try really hard to get our kids writing and being creative. So I think that is great, but it's just not quite to the level that I have loved. I chose the fourth grade language arts, this one for my 8-year-old, because I was low on time and I couldn't transition to helping his big brothers with their writing and him all at once. So I transitioned away from a language arts curriculum into much more hands-on, guided, us working together, and I couldn't do all 3 of them at once. So he got to do the 4th year, and he actually really likes to fill in the blanks, and so this has worked really well for him. Here's another one. I'm just giggling because he's added some drawings in. Anyways, so the writing and spelling workshop book gets them, practicing their handwriting for one, but also tries to get them creatively thinking. And again, I really do recommend it for through 3rd grade, or if you are new to homeschooling and you're not feeling confident in hodgepodging yet, because I do believe in my own homeschool experience, this is where I wish my parents had put a little more time and attention, and my skill of writing was hard won. So I very much focus on this for my kiddos. Let's go ahead and move on to everybody's favorite, math. Now, as a former homeschooled student myself, all the tears were shed over math. All the tears now are shed over math, sometimes writing, but really mostly math. So let's talk a little bit about what you're going to find on these shelves and where you should start if you're just beginning your homeschool journey. So if you're just beginning your homeschool journey, let me show you one curriculum that a lot of homeschoolers are loving. Math is definitely one of those subjects that builds concept upon concept like a staircase. And every curriculum kind of has their own thing to it. They have their own way of like really diving into the subject. And so if you move curriculum, that can cause a lot of problems. So I'm going to share with you a curriculum that, if you're just starting, this is one that's actually based on Common Core but does it better. And so if you are pulling your kiddo out of public school and you're like, I don't know which one aligns best for where they might be at, this one might be a good one for you. So this is all of the Singapore math. There's so many. And the one you're going to want to really focus in on is this Dimensions brand. What I will say is that the people here at Exodus said that this series, specifically the Dimensions series from Singapore, has really good support for homeschool moms, for homeschool parents teaching their kids at home. But I will also say that when I pick up 4 books for a math curriculum that is 2nd grade, I'm a little overwhelmed. But, you have to get used to it, like any curriculum system of delivery. And, if you're finding yourself jumping from curriculum to curriculum and you're feeling very overwhelmed by it all, well, you actually really need to stick with a curriculum, in my opinion, for at least 6 weeks, because there's an adjustment period, number one, of you learning the curriculum, of your child learning the curriculum, and really trying to figure out what is expected of, you, what is expected of them. And then once you do find that rhythm, then you actually have to be in the rhythm for a while to have any kind of good feedback about whether or not it's working. So I would suggest at least 6 weeks, but you can go shorter, but in my experience, as someone who teaches routines, go at least 6 weeks. So looking at this is level 2A. We've got textbook for the kiddo. Let's open that first. And this is where the kiddo is learning the subject, learning the concepts. It's very, very visual, and I actually like that. It's very, very visual, but I am a visual learner, and I think that can be really powerful for some kids. Now let's go ahead and look at the workbook. So this is where the kiddo is practicing the concepts that they're learning in the first book, in the textbook. So there's more work in addition to what you get in the textbook. Again, very visual, and I do like that. And I almost like that it's not colorful. No distractions. Now here is the test book. So obviously if you want to administer tests based on helping you gauge where your child's understanding is at, and really these can be used for progress, measuring progress, which I highly recommend you do. These can be really great. So I'm not loving that it's coming in 4 different books, but let's be honest, this is looking pretty good. So then here is the answer key. And again, the owners here talked to me about how this has a lot of online help, this particular brand under Singapore. That's a little peek into the Singapore Dimensions math curriculum level 2A. Now let's say you guys have been using a curriculum for a while and it's just not working for your kiddo, and they're missing concepts or not understanding large chunks of the information, and you're like, I just need something else. So let me show you Matthew C and kind of explain a little bit more about how it works. So Matthew C can be a really great curriculum if your child is struggling with a certain concept. For example, one of my kiddos just got fractions, he understands them better than me. But then another kiddo, he was more like me. He was like, I don't get this, Mom, right? And so Matthew C can be very good for kiddos that are struggling with a particular concept. So this one, this orange one, says multiple digit addition and subtraction. The yellow one is multiple and single digit division. Then we've got fractions. Then we've got decimals and percents. And so if your kiddo is struggling with a certain concept, Matthew C might be a really good fit for them. So let's take a peek inside this multiple digit and addition and subtraction one. So just peeking in this beta option that has multiple digit addition and subtraction, there are lots of words, so lots of instruction. So if you've got an audio learner, this could be very good. I'm thinking about my 8th grader who sometimes struggles with different math concepts. Me reading this to him would be very, very helpful. He actually is a strong reader, so he could probably read it to himself. But it's also visual, and I also like how it's, pretty plain Jane. It's also very visual, and something I'm noticing, there's lots of space on these pages, so it eliminates any kind of confusion. Kids don't know where to look when a page is really full, and so that can make it very challenging to understand a concept. And so I really like the minimalistic design of this curriculum, especially when we're trying to understand a particular concept. So again, lots to read to them, but then when they're visually describing the concept, there's lots of space for them to be able to see, understand, and focus their eyes. I'll take you through my good and beautiful math curriculum at home in just a minute, but before I leave the math section, I really want to show you Life of Fred, because if your kid's like, math's boring, or I don't like math, Life of Fred is a great series for you to get because it's very story-based, but will also help describe math concepts to them. And so if you've never seen Life of Fred, it's these books right here. And Life of Fred doesn't just come in math, but that's what we're primarily using it for. But my kiddos will just read back through these books again and again. And so if you notice, some of these books come with a little dot. So any book here at Exodus that has a little dot is used and therefore will be a better price. And so if you want to visit them online, I would definitely buy my Life of Fred used from here. That is something I'm going to do in the future because Life of Fred is awesome. Let me go ahead and take you on a little tour of Math 6 from The Good and the Beautiful. It comes in 2 books. I only have one of them with me right now because my 10-year-old is using book 2 to do math as we speak. But this is book 1, and The Good and the Beautiful takes the approach of spiral bound when it comes to math. And the reason I like that is because what it does is it'll teach you a concept, help you begin to master it, and then bring that concept back up in a later review. It reviews stuff. And I think this is really important for math because as soon as you're not using, let's say fractions very much, or as soon as you're not doing that long division, it can very easily slip from your mind. And so if long division was a concept taught to the child, it does that in level 4, then it will review long division again and again. And I just think this is a great approach to math. And one of the reasons I do love this as a physical book, because as your kids are doing those reviews and they're like, oh, I actually don't really remember long division, you can teach them to go to the table of contents, go to the lesson that they learned that in, and then they can teach themselves and remember. So I think this is actually great for helping independent learning. Some of what they teach my kids don't get, but sometimes you wonder how much of that is the book, how much of that is my child's learning style, how much of that is, we don't know. So my oldest, who is 12, jumped into algebra from the grade 7 Good and Beautiful math. And so he skipped at least 1 or 2 grades there by jumping into algebra, and he's been doing really, really well. He's required to get above an 85%. So he's been doing that and he's doing great. So we did switch curriculums and we've had success. So I do feel like Good and the Beautiful is a great math curriculum. And what they do is they'll teach a concept, and then on the grades above, I wouldn't say 2nd grade, they almost always have a video to go with it. And then they'll have them practice the concept, and then they'll do the concept, the mini lesson, and then they'll do practice and review. So they'll learn a new concept, they'll practice it, and then they'll do review. And so I really love the way it's structured. I love that my kids can do math right inside of the book. I highly recommend the Good and the Beautiful math product line We have loved it, always had really good results. We've only had to change since they didn't have the next grade available. And as we're going through all of these different curriculum and you're maybe feeling a little overwhelmed, I just want to encourage you, slow down, take a deep breath. You're probably feeling overwhelmed because you deeply care, and that's a good thing. And so we want to take this at a very paced and slow just way as we're sorting through, again, using the core for shopping. And so we got through the two biggest, the two hardest subjects, language arts and math, the two most important in my opinion. And we're going to now move into social studies and science. I want to encourage you, you don't need a perfect plan. You just need one that works for your family. So I'm excited to show you these next curriculum. As we move on to science, which is a big theme in our house, I really want to encourage you to just follow your kids' need initially, especially if they're young. Follow their passions, follow their interests. If they're into animals or a certain animal, go dive deep on it. And as your kids get older, we can incorporate these curriculum that I'm about to show you. And these are common curriculum that works for a lot of homeschool families. But again, as a science nerdy family, we actually don't use these. We are much more depth when it comes to homeschooling, but these are great if you want to approach the topic of science in a broad way. So the first curriculum I'm going to look at is from Apologia. It's Zoology 1. So this would be elementary, very early on introduction of science. And inside the books, they're absolutely beautiful. There's such great graphics, such amazing details. And I could see this working really, really well for families that maybe mom's doing this as a read aloud and then showing the pictures to everybody. That could be a really great way to potentially use Apologia. So also Apologia is very well known for being young earth, creationism, science perspective. And so if that's important to your family, Apologia can be really good. Now, there are lots of curriculum out there that has that slant to it, but Apologia is very well known for their attention to detail and young earth creationism. So, but again, very beautiful. They have, I just looked at the front and it talked about they have audiobooks that can go along with the curriculum. And then they also encourage notebooking, and they have notebooking journals. And so that's one of the things I actually love about science. And especially if you're doing a read aloud version, you can be reading it, because obviously you wouldn't hand this to a second grader to read. That is a lot of text. But you can hand your kids a notebook and they can draw while you read to them, or they can take notes while you read to them. And this is a really good way to initiate those note-taking skills and begin helping our kiddos build that foundation. So they encourage that with this curriculum, and so this is a great, beautiful curriculum if it fits your worldview. Alrighty, now we are at Masterbooks again, which Masterbooks is another Christian worldview kind of science curriculum. And I have heard from a lot of my personal friends homeschooling, they love Masterbooks for science. So let's go ahead and take a peek inside and see what they're loving. Masterbooks has actually quite a spread for each of the curriculum for age ranges. And so their level 1 is really meant for those younger kiddos. Lots of really big pictures, lots of big letters. You might read to them. You might have them read to you. Oh, whale shark, love whale sharks. But this is, a little fish to draw. Who's not going to love that? So this would be for younger elementary years. The bulk of the books that they offer actually have to go through about 3rd grade to 8th grade, and they have actually a lot of options. This one is Chemistry and Ecology, and it comes with a teacher's guide. So let's go ahead and take a peek in both of these. So they have wonderful color graphics, lots of reading happening, lots of instructions, different experiments they can do, but not a lot of journaling here. Not any journaling here. No filling out the blanks, no filling in anything. It's all what you would read. And then the experiments. And what I will say about this as I peek in the teacher's guide is I think science is a really great conversation to have around the table. And while, yes, we should be writing, we should be doing experiments for sure, but I like that there's a lot of talking with science and more observation and experimentation. What are you learning? What did I notice? And it's really collaborative. So I love science in that way. So in the teacher's guide, they have what your child would be filling out in relation to each of the chapters within the textbook I just showed you. Oh goodness, this has felt like a whirlwind. Okay, now we are on to our final 4 core. And y'all, like, I'm feeling overwhelmed, and the 4 core is simple. And I'm like, I use this constantly, but as I'm looking over, there's so much curriculum to just look through, and then there's so many options with each of these core 4. It is so natural for us to feel overwhelmed. And again, I want to encourage you to take this slowly. We're not making any fast-paced decisions. We're not going to buy based on sale. Like, we can wait for the sales, but don't be like, oh, we need a history curriculum, let's buy this one on sale. Like, don't do that. You're not going to like that. You're going to make things hard on yourself. So let's dive in to some social studies before we wrap this video up. So curriculum that I've heard a lot about and have zero experience, personal experience with, is Notgrass or Notgrass. I don't even know how to say it, y'all. But again, it's another Christian curriculum. This is social studies, and this is a heavy textbook. Let's take a peek inside. So like most social studies curriculum, it's going to have amazing graphics, loving it, and lots of text. So this one could potentially be another great one that you do as a read aloud, and your kids are doing the notebooking style and really drawing what they're hearing or taking notes. So one thing about Notgrass, at first it looks like so simple. I'm like, oh, there's not anything extra for us to do. At the end of the lessons, there are assignments, but I'm going to say I actually love that this is so simple. They have a note to parents at the beginning. They also have a note to the student as well. And then how to use this curriculum. Okay, thank you, Notgrass. That is super helpful. I feel like so many curriculums don't include this. And it's very simple and gives you a great outline. And again, another Christian curriculum. I'm going to get this used. Give it a try. So we are going to dive into these final books that I actually have no personal experience with. And they're called Beautiful Feet, right? Beautiful Feet books. And as I just look into these, I think these are so sweet. Like, why haven't I used these before? So if we're looking at their very first one, it's going around the world with picture books. And so you visit different countries with the books that are relevant to that country. And of course, there is a recipe for you to use so you can discover the country a little bit more. And I'm just, oh my goodness, this is so adorable. And there's watercolor. I love this. These are so sweet. They have this great one that's for seasons, for you to study the seasons, and they're really encouraging notebooking to go with it. And so there's handicrafts. Oops, let me put this down. So they're featuring handicrafts, and you're studying the paintings, and you're learning about little critters. There's field work and notebooking. Oh my goodness, like, oh, this is awesome. Yes, and poetry. Okay. This is awesome. I think they're so cute and great. And they have these labeled for different grades. So there's primary grades, there's through 8th grade, and intermediate grades. And they have, sometimes they have really specific ones, like around California with children's books. So you could study California. How cool is that? And if I'm being honest, I would probably, at this stage of my homeschooling, I'd pick up one of these for my older kids, and we would use this for language arts. And based on whatever we're studying, right, if we're going around the world or we're learning about different parts of California and reading different books about California, I mean, if I'm going to be honest, gosh, we could write essays on that. And my kids have been writing essays for a little while, my older two, and I would use this as our language arts and our social studies together. So I know it's one way you could do it. But again, if you're a new mom, get a real language arts curriculum. You'll thank me later. Now, if you're wanting help with taking the 4 core that you've chosen and turning it into a homeschool routine, that is why I created my Homeschool Routine Builder. It is a free download that you can get. The link is the first link below, and so you can go ahead and grab that now. And then also, because I'm here at Exodus Books, check the description below for the discount code. You've got this, Mama. I want you to take it slow. And remember, we can simplify and think about the core 4 because we don't have to do everything. We just need to do the right things well. Thanks for shopping with me at Exodus Books in Oregon City, and I'll see you next time.